That Milena will be joining me. We'd love to hear a different perspective as regards how these things are going. So joining me right now is the founder of Olama Foundation, Chioma Nwosu. Good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So as a millennial, how are you feeling with this? Of course, you've never seen this before, ever. How does this feel?
First of all, there's a lot of anxiety. I remember that when this whole thing started, in the middle of the night, I'm waking up 10 times to wash my hands. So there's a bit of OCD going on and anxiety and all that. And then for me being in the mental health space, we've seen an increase in a lot of things going on. So a lot of people are calling our crisis support. People are trying to commit suicide. We're trying to get people to get therapy. You know, I'm constantly doing like live sessions just to encourage people and teach them how to manage their mental health during this period. So there's been a lot for me personally, and then I think everywhere too as well.
So moving forward, do you think you would, as a millennial, you might recover from this soon enough?
Well, I think one thing about maybe millennials or even Nigerians as general is that we kind of are able to adapt very easily, and I think sometimes it's not really a good thing, but you know, somehow we're able to just cope. And we would see that a lot, because as much as it's affecting us, somehow there would also be that part where, you know, let's just cope. This is what is happening. This is our reality. So we will see how we can cope. So people might get out of it, but there will still be a lot of trauma going on somehow at the back if they don't manage their mental health properly.
Now, we saw the video where, you know, women, people who have markets, you know, probably these things that they sell from day to day to make money from being scattered by the police. This is a time where for people like you who handle mental stress and all, there'll be more demands. But how do you cope generally? How do you cope personally to, you know, because at this point in time, it's about you caring for people and caring for yourself. So how do you draw the line?
So it's a bit difficult. Sometimes I want to lose it, like, because, you know, there's a bit of feeling overwhelmed about it, because you're trying to take care of everybody else and you're trying to take care of yourself. So as I said, I'm waking up 1,000 times to wash my hands, but then in the morning you're seeing like loads of messages of people who are suffering and, you know, they're trying to take care of themselves. So it's here or there, but at the end of the day, when you have a good support, when you take necessary precautions on how to help your mental state, you can manage yourself and still manage people too as well. So it's quite dicey, but we're trying, I guess.
All right, joining us right now via health pandemic right now. So this is the time in life where a lot of us have had to face our health more than ever before. You just told me how you have to wake up almost 10 times to wash your hands. I'm sure you've not done that ever since you were born. So how do you think employers are attending to the issues of health right now?
I think for employers, to be honest, I think even in Nigeria, for example, mental health there's no mental health insurance. So you can't walk to the hospital or to the psychiatric hospital and say you want to get insurance for your health condition.
Okay.
So permit me, but you know, as an employer of labor, I think maybe a lot of them might not be concentrating on that aspect for now, because most people are trying to save their businesses. Most people are trying to see how they're downsizing, you know, and everything that Mr. Leakey has spoken about. So that might not be a priority to a lot of companies. But then again, health is wealth. Your company would not function if your staff is not okay. If your staff is not mentally okay, your company will not function. And it's one of the things too that we've also been saying about mental health and the workplace. Because if a staff is not mentally well, there will be loss of productivity. So your company can't even function, because this staff is suffering from depression. They can't speak because they feel like if they speak, it's going to jeopardize their status at the workplace. So you know, it's quite, again, it's still a combination of too many things. Mental health, even health generally, there are some things that are not being spoken about. People don't want to say that they have depression. People don't want to say that. And there are too many people that are vulnerable during this period. So for somebody like us who might not be suffering from a mental illness, we are still going to deal with fear, we're still going to deal with irritability, we're still going to deal with anxiety. Then now imagine people who are suffering from mental illnesses that have to deal with these issues. And then even aside that too, you also have people like the healthcare professionals who are in the front line. Nobody's talking about taking care of the healthcare professionals and their mental state or even their health. Nobody is talking about even the people who are sick, suffering from coronavirus, and have to take care of their mental health. Nobody is talking about their families who are not sure they are going to see these people come back again, because you know, once you die, that's it. That's the end of it. So nobody's talking about these people. Nobody's talking about people who are vulnerable, so who have underlying issues that might be affected with coronavirus. So there's so much going on, and health is somewhere on the back seat where people are just like, you know what, let's talk about coronavirus. But there's a lot going on.
Okay, I have to hold you right there, and we have to talk about how people have been consuming fake news. And I want to believe that this is because now is a time where most people have focused more on social media than ever before. And this, if at all anybody's going to get depressed, this probably is going to be the time, because there are more information. People are bringing up their own theories as regards what they think about this. How can millennials explain? Because, I mean, millennials are mostly the ones guilty. I think right now, if you place water and data, for example, for a millennial to pick, of course, they will pick data over water. How can a millennial survive that and still try and shield his or herself from getting depressed via social media?
Okay, so some of the things that we've been doing this period basically is to give tips on how to help yourself during this period. I would commend some organizations. I know that one of the organizations, we have a live show every Friday talking about mental health on their Instagram, which is a good thing for me. So aside trying to manage what you consume, and then I would also say, as much as I'm a millennial, I would disagree with you on that, because we have our African mothers who keep on sending WhatsApp messages every day. Whatever it is they're sending. So it's not just the millennials. But however, yes, as much as you want to consume so much, you have to try to verify. You have to try to limit the amount of things you're taking. I don't listen to whatever is going on in the news again. I don't want to see it. I've blocked, I've unfollowed, so I think at this point we have to be very deliberate with a lot of the things we do, because if not, you're going to lose it. So this is the time where everybody puts their health first before anything else. I don't listen. I don't want to hear. I've heard, so I know the necessary precautions to take, and I'm taking my necessary precautions. But any other thing aside that, I don't want to know the amount of people who are getting, and it might seem quite far-fetched, but those are the things that are going to help me during this period, you know. So I try to stay busy. I try to set a routine. So for example, we tell people you might want to stay in your pajamas all day, but try and have a routine. Wake up in the morning, you know, have breakfast, have your bath, get work done, you know, so that you have a routine. Because you realize that during this period, a lot of people are insomniacs around this period. So you're sleeping all through the day and night. So you need to have a routine, because if not, you would not be able to control the situation. You're stressed out, you're going crazy, and you don't even understand what is going on with you. Aside that, eat healthy. So yes, as much as they say social distance, it doesn't mean we should social isolate. So still communicate with people.
Exercise.
Video calls.
That's also important.
Exercise. We do a lot of breathing exercises, mindfulness, meditate during this period. Another thing too is also to be kind. So you don't have to necessarily volunteer or donate money to anybody. It might be as simple as sending out a message in the morning. I hope you're well. I stay safe today.
But right now, a lot of people, especially on social media, whether you send them data or send them some giveaway, because right now giveaway is the thing now. Everybody is giving away one thing. As a matter of fact, it's almost like if you don't give away, you're a terrible person.
What really makes you a terrible person? You know, in this world, if you don't do, they would complain. If you do, they would complain. So I think whatever works for you, to be honest, works. If there's any way you can contribute during this time, there's some sort of fulfillment when you're kind. And it doesn't have to be going all the way to be kind. It can just be advising, I'm here to listen to you. You're going through a breakdown. I want to hear what you have to say. So there's so much. And at the end of the day, if you've tried every single thing and it doesn't work, seek help. There are therapists in Nigeria. Yes, the numbers are small. We have only about 250 psychiatrists in the whole Nigeria. So that's one psychiatrist to 1 million Nigeria.
Are they working now with the lockdown?
So I know that for my NGO, we've decided to go digital. So like we're hoping maybe next week we'll do like 2 days free consultation and assessment for people, just so that you can have the help of their support groups, their NGOs that are working. I know, because this is my community, so a lot of us are working. We're trying to engage people in support groups, doing virtual meetings, just so that everybody can speak and, you know, feel relieved. Therapists are on the go. We have free therapists in Nigeria. You call in and, you know, we would assign you to somebody and you speak to the person. It might not be something that's continuous, because again, the therapist has to make money, but even that one-time conversation with somebody makes a whole difference. So it's just trying to do the little bit you can at this point, just to help yourself. So you have to help yourself, just as he has said, but you also might need help too as well. So I think at this point everybody needs to come together, because if not, we won't be able to fight this virus, you know, as much as.
And I can add to what Chioma. This is amazing. I think we also need to play the game of gratitude Because so many times we have, see, there are people that I met somebody who came for interview and I asked the guy, so tell me about your father. He said, I don't have a father. All right, tell me about your mom. I said, I don't have a mom. All right, tell me about your uncle. He said, one of my siblings was going for a graduation ceremony and everybody was in a vehicle and they all died. He was crying and I was crying as well. Okay. I mean, so there are so many things to be grateful for. You have family, you have a place you stay. There are people that sleep under the sun, open heaven. I have met people that came to my church and all that say, when it is raining, it's raining on them. When there is sun, it is sun on them. And there are people who have homes, they are not grateful for it. If we play the game of gratitude, you know one thing I did during this lockdown, I was just looking for things to do. Then something came to my mind. I said, look, you've been taking pictures for the last 2 years that you have not even seen. Why don't you go back through your timeline? And I started seeing places and things that I've done. And I started, gratitude overwhelmed me. Gratitude is very powerful, guys. There are things you have that you don't know the value of until you lose it. That old grandma that you have that is always annoying you. Until the day that grandma dies, you now know the value of that grandma. So there are so many things that we can be grateful for that also helps this mental thing, especially when you are locked down, you are within a small, I don't know how prisoners do it. I did not look at that perspective until somebody pointed my attention to it. You are on lockdown for 2 weeks. Okay, one month. But there are people that have lived permanently within 4 walls of a small square meter for years. How did they keep that? Look at, I mean, Mandela, how did he do it? How did he do it? There's a lot of work for us to do mentally. Exercising ourselves, exercising our mind to get out of this. Otherwise...
And I would also add no pressure too as well, because people want to fulfill so much during this period. If your mind isn't
cut down on your expectation,
it's okay. Like, you don't have to come out as a PhD holder at this point. What you owe yourself at this point is, okay, you know what, I just want to rest during this period and it's okay for me. So I think we should just chill on ourselves at this point.
Okay, so Ifetayo, you spoke earlier about how you were more or less confident that you probably not